now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show brings you famous celebrities and amazing people from all over the world. Listen online at themikewagnershow.com and on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And watch the interview on YouTube. So sit back and relax and enjoy the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show, and also watch our interviews on YouTube as well, too. Just subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. You can also download and listen to our podcast on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And again, watch the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel as well. We're here with a wonderful radio host from San Diego, California. She's a host of Get the Funk Out on KUCI Radio and KUCI.org, which is 88.9 FM from Irvine, California. She's a radio host, voice actress, writer, producer, and author of a brand new book that is going to be out very shortly by the same name, Get the Funk Out, published by Post Hill Press, distributed by Simon & Schuster, and she'll be talking about the book and how that got started as well, too, and also some of her other ventures as well. And without further ado, live from very sunny California, the lady of all talents, Janeane Bernstein. Janeane, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And any time. So you've been the host of Get the Funk Out for quite some time on KUCI Radio and KUCI.org, 88.9 FM out of Irvine, California. You've been a radio host, voice actress, writer, producer, and you've got a book out called Get the Funk Out by the same name, published by Post Hill Press and distributed by Simon & Schuster, and also talks about your experiences and many other things, how someone can help. And before we get into all that, along with some of your other projects, tell us how you got started.
Well, I first started at KUCI as a music show host. I met someone who told me that they offer training to community members as well as students. And I launched this 3-hour music show called Moms Rock the House because I was a mom and I'm musical. And I thought, I would love to feature women in the arts and interview them and feature their music. And I did that for about 3 years. And then 2010, at the end of that year, I lost a really good friend of mine I had grown up with. And I found myself in a mega funk. I didn't know how I was going to get myself out of that. So I took a year off and I came up with this idea of this radio show, Get the Funk Out, because who hasn't been through something personal or professional?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And of course, just a little bit more on that. You've been for quite some time, and you've also been a voice actress and a writer, producer, and you can also tell us about some of your other projects you're involved in as well, too. So,
Sure. So the voice acting I started doing when I was living in Boston, and I was really fascinated by. I was actually working at Hewlett-Packard. My background is training and development in my past life. And so I was working in training and development, and I was asked to work on a project, a corporate training project, and nobody wanted to do the on-camera work or the voiceover. So I volunteered, and I was the narrator and all that, and I kind of fell into it, and I thought, I'd like to get some professional training. So I started taking classes, commercial acting classes, and then voiceover, and then I learned about animation with voiceover, and I have to tell you, I've had a tendency to be kind of shy, so it kind of brought me out of my shell. Mm-hmm. And it was hysterical. I mean, for anyone who does not like public speaking, I highly recommend taking a voiceover class because, one teacher from Boston had us skipping around the room, swearing every other word in the copy for a Clorox commercial. Mm-hmm. And because I remember thinking, I don't want to get up in front of all these people. And it was so funny. We all just laughed.
And it sounds like it too. So did you eventually get the part then, or you just call back, or what else have you done as well too with it?
Oh, I actually got into the Screen Actors Guild because I auditioned for a project that I didn't think I was going to do. I got it one afternoon. I was kind of tired, and that night I went, oh, I forgot. I got to do that audition. And it was for the voice of a bear, and not like a cartoon bear, but like a real bear. So as a voice actor, you do your homework. Like, what does a real bear sound like? And I remember submitting this thing and thinking, oh, yeah, sure. And then they brought me in, and they said, I want to sit down before we bring you into the booth to record. I want to let you know that about 700 people applied for this role, and we listened to your tape, and I made sure no one knew you were a woman. And he said, you booked it. And
wow.
because of that, I got into the Screen Actors Guild because of auditioning for the role of a bear. So you never know. Don't say no to anything, people.
That's really good advice, too. Now, if you don't mind me asking, is it like a cartoon bear? Is it like a real bear? Or is it like a
real bear. It was like guttural, like they told us, okay, this is the bear rising, getting up in the morning, and this is the bear when it's kind of aggressive. And so we had to just give our own subjective take on what this would sound like, and it was a real bear.
Oh, my goodness. And, of course, some people say you barely made it. So, but I think that sounds like most of us in the morning, too. It's like you wake up, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, depends on what you do, like,
yes,
like
me without coffee.
And I think that's many of us have coffee as well, too. So we just have that. And by the way, folks, we're not taking phone calls on the show as well, too. If you guys are wondering, just like with many radio hosts, and of course you talk about being a bear, sometimes people think of Yogi Bear or like Jack the Bear or Cartoon Bear, but
yes,
but of course you also did some other projects, and maybe you can do some other things as well too. Like, have you done any other any other character voices or something else unique?
I have nothing like along the lines of Bugs Bunny or all that, but I have a reel where I put together like a little kid or a little old lady or somebody that's I auditioned for things like a fighter pilot, and it's so interesting. I've taken a lot of workshops, and you learn a lot from the different casting directors that come in from Disney, let's say, or other places, and you learn a lot about yourself. And I remember booking a commercial where they said, you're going to be standing in your imagination, standing on a street corner, and you're, I think it was for like a bank or something. And I was supposed to be like yelling at the top of my lungs about how great the features were of whatever. And so I went into the recording booth, and you just tune everything out, because in this industry, you just have to just go 100% plus. And in life, sometimes we get nervous about stuff, but I got to tell you, I just gave it 100% and I booked it. And you just, a lot of times we get insecure, but if you just tune everybody out, just go for it. Pretend what you would be like with your best friends, just letting loose. Mm-hmm. The funniest things happen,
It does sound like it as well, too. You're off to a really good start. We'll talk about your radio show as well, too. And, of course, discovering a chapter from your book, Get the Funk Out. We'll get to that in just a minute. You're listening to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable, custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can also watch our interviews on YouTube at the Mike Wagner Show channel. So make sure you subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on YouTube. And please tell your friends and please subscribe. You can also download and listen on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, check our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can also watch the audio version on YouTube as well and take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. We're here with host Janeane Bernstein, Get the Funk Out is her, not only the name of her radio show, but it's also a book that's published by Post Hill Press and distributed by Simon & Schuster. We'll talk about, a good portion of the book, including a chapter which somehow made the internet. And I was on recently as well, too, about social media and how search engines pop up with certain things you met online and everything else. It has been amazing, and what you can do as well, too. And, of course, you also got into your own radio show as well, too. So maybe you can tell us about a little bit about Get the Funk Out, your radio show, and where can people tune in and what time?
Sure. So the radio show was started in 2011. As a result of losing my friend, I decided to start the show to interview people that were doing all kinds of interesting things in their lives. And a lot of times these different career paths came about because they had a personal, professional funk they went through. I call them a curveball. And, maybe somebody was writing a little bit, but then they went through a massive breakup with somebody and they put all their energy into writing. And now they're a New York Times bestselling author and they've written 15 books. That is a true story.
Wow.
Oh, yes. So these stories became ongoing. And I was so fascinated with how people moved out of certain situations and mindsets, people who've been through 9/11, people who have lost a limb, now they're a triathlete, on and on and on, because we all have a story. So I started the show in 2011, and I kept seeing this theme popping up of self-care and mindfulness and just being open to creativity. And I thought, I think this is a book. I really think that I want to share this with the world. So I took about 24 show guests, and I took their stories, and I would interview them again, and I transcribed, and then I put my own stories. And I also, way before the idea of the book, I was sitting on a plane in 2012, and I started writing this out. I have a background in research, and I got my doctorate really young. I was 28, and I love qualitative research, so interviewing people, looking for themes and what comes up. So I started mapping out what's a personal funk, what's a professional funk, what are the causes, how do we get through it? And this became the foundation for my book proposal.
Wow, that is something. And would you include the Uptown Funk as well, too?
The Uptown Funk.
You can always interview Mark Ronson, Bruno Mars. That was like a song of the year about a few years ago. It just made me think of it with Uptown Funk and Parliament Funk and everything else. So, and I'm sure you had all kinds of funk as well, too. And what are some of the most common problems that you ever encountered? Like, having guests on talking about their stories, and what's probably the rarest you've heard, and what's probably the most difficult? Like, say, with the interview, like an event or something that just really brought everyone to tears and probably just, like, really difficult. I mean, I think that's how best I could describe it.
Right. Well, let's see. You asked a couple questions. So you said, what is the most difficult conversation I've ever had?
Well, actually, you probably say the most common problems, and then over to the most difficult. So let's start with the most common one you've ever encountered as well. Most common.
Common? I feel like we all know somebody who has gone through cancer. Whether it's a personal issue, you've survived cancer yourself, or you're struggling with cancer, or you've lost a family member. There are so many types of cancers. And I actually lost my dad to cancer in 2015. And I went on the radio shortly thereafter because I wasn't going to stop doing my show. I was in a bit of state of shock, but I knew he was not going to make it. From the time of my dad was diagnosed in August, he passed away exactly 4 months later. And I just felt like, this is what I'm doing now. I am so passionate about this radio show, and I felt like this is going to help me, and this is going to help other people, and I'm going to keep going because my dad always said, just keep going. Keep going, no matter what.
And that's all I can do at this point. And, of course, with the most difficult as well, too, and maybe just had some of those, or even the most complex.
Right, because you know what? I really believe, even though you can go through a really awful thing, sometimes there's an upside of grief, and I've written about this. I'm a contributor on Thrive Global. There is an upside of grief in that I believe if you're open to it, you will learn something about yourself. You'll learn that you are more capable of resilience than you ever imagined, and you might see a new chapter unfold in your life, something that you always wanted to do or something unexpected.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is something as well, too, that, seeing something unfold as well, too. Now, do people volunteer to come on as guests, or do you invite them as well, too, or simply say, hey, I've got something to talk about? So it's like, how do you get your guests on the show?
That's a great question. When I first started doing this, I would pursue a lot of people. And I still, if I see somebody interesting in the paper or online, I will, like a detective, I will find them. I will hunt them down. And I'll find them and I'll pitch my show. And usually it's 99% of the time they're interested, which is wonderful. And then I've developed relationships with different public relations firms, publishing houses, so they pitch me their clients. And I will ask, does this person have an interesting backstory? Because sure, I'm interested in somebody's film, but I'd like to know what is their backstory? How did this whole idea come about? And there's usually an interesting story.
Mm-hmm. It does sound like an interesting story. We'll get to that in just a minute. And also, you've also been an actress as well, too. And if I'm right, you were a 2018 finalist and official section of Birdie back in 2018. Maybe you can just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I actually wrote that. I wasn't acting in that. I am also a screenwriter. And I started writing years ago really lousy screenplays.
Lousy screenplays? I have to say, I think you can probably top mine. So once upon a time, they live happily ever after. The end. That's my version of a screenplay.
I know. It's very hard to write a screenplay. I mean, some people are very gifted, but it is a craft you continue to work on. And so what I did was I enrolled in UC Irvine's extension program and went through their entire screenwriting program, the beginner, the intermediate, the advanced, and the rewrite. And by the rewrite, you have a completed, rewritten script. And it just got better and better. And then I took my own spin on it, and I submitted it to the La Femme International Film Festival here in Los Angeles. And I was one of 15 finalists. And just being a finalist was such a fantastic thing. It's like I finally felt like I can actually say I'm a screenwriter. And I am actually finishing up some short films, and everything I write really is comedy. I really love comedy.
Nice. I was just going to ask you, who are some of your influences growing up, like, say, with favorite actors, favorite actresses, comedians, writers, or even even celebrities? Who are some of your favorites growing up?
Okay, I remember the first time I saw Robin Williams. I was babysitting on New Year's Eve. I was 15, and I thought, who is this hysterical guy? He is so talented. Uh-huh. And I just loved his whole persona, who he was as a comedian. I mean, incredibly sad and tragic how his life ended. Mm-hmm. But I always thought he was an outstanding actor. And just that whole, he really raised the bar for me. I held him in such high regard. But, any comedic actor, I remember seeing the movie Tootsie as a teenager with, I guess that's Dustin Hoffman.
Yes, I remember that movie. That was a classic.
Exactly. And, that kind of stuff just makes me just laugh out loud. And also, I like to write in settings that people just typically don't write about, like whether it's a library or, hospital or whatever. I like to find the funny in everyday life.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like it as well, too. And, of course, you've also did some great things. And what are some of the other, screenplays have you done? And also, most importantly, where can people find your films at?
Well, they have not become films as of yet. I'm going to be pitching them to some folks, so we'll have to stay tuned on that. But I've written Birdie, which is a feature, and I just wrapping up these 2 short films. And they're screenplays, and I'm going to be submitting them to a whole bunch of different festivals. I'm just getting started, but I've been obviously busy because this book is coming out June 25th.
Uh-huh.
So it's just something that really feeds my creative soul to do this.
Mm-hmm. That is amazing, and of course, keep us up to date on that. We'll get your book as well too. So you listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can also watch the interview on YouTube as well, too, at the Mike Wagner Show on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe and please tell your friends. Also, you can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, watch the interview on YouTube as well on the Mike Wagner Show channel. You can also take Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. We're here with Janeane Bernstein, the author of Get the Funk Out. That's published by Post Hill Press and distributed by Simon & Schuster. She's also a radio host of the same name at KUCI Radio in Irvine, California. Also listen online at KUCI.org. She's also an radio host, actress, voiceover actress, and also a writer, producer, and screenwriter as well, too. And we'll talk about your book about Get the Funk Out by the same name of your radio show. And, of course, you talked about what inspired you to get the funk out and what happened. And also maybe you can just, talk a little bit about some of the ways someone can identify that they're in the funk. But in your opinion, what are some of the biggest ways going through a funk in life can be a positive?
I'm sorry, could be a what?
No, in your opinion, what are some of the biggest ways going through a funk in life can be a positive thing?
Oh, yes. Well, as I said earlier, you can find out something about yourself that you never imagined would be possible because perhaps you decide to start something new or pursue something that you used to do. I mean, I always say, and I say this in the book, that as we get older, we don't make time for all of our creative interests. And when we're younger, I mean, we're creative, we're drawing, we're coloring, we're painting, we're whatever. And as we get older, we're busy and we forget to do the things that feed our souls, that make us happy, that relax us. I mean, there's a reason why there's been a resurgence in coloring books for adults. I mean, it's expletive coloring books.
Coloring books. I've loved coloring books. I'm ready to go buy one after this.
Okay, so there is a resurgence in that, and there's painting parties for adults with wine, and there's a reason because we need to dial back being so quote unquote busy and make time because we do end up in funks. And I believe strongly, and I point this out in the book, if we don't make time for other things besides just work, we won't be resilient when we get thrown a curveball.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, too, as well, too. And what are some of the ways parents can help their kids through a rough patch?
Well, it's hard. I have teenagers.
Uh-huh.
You can't be their best friend. I really think you have to be their mentor and their coach. And you have to be aware of their verbal and nonverbal behaviors because if your kid is shutting you out and they're just not opening up to you and you see that they're not taking care of themselves, let's say physically, a lot of kids are really hooked to their phones. I mean, you really have to tune into that. And a lot of times, and I believe strongly, if your kid won't talk to you, you should encourage them to go talk to a professional because maybe they don't want to talk about something going on with a girlfriend, a boyfriend, they're being bullied, whatever. They did something wrong and they feel tremendous guilt. They need to have a safe haven to open up, to feel good, and to heal with whatever it is they're going through because that will help them. If their needs are not addressed, that's a really bad thing.
Mm-hmm. And of course, there's other ways too to get through this. You pamper yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And what are some ways you could pamper yourself?
Well, for teens, there's nothing wrong with taking them for a massage, and you sit in the room with them. They're a minor, And, I always say, well, I get a woman masseuse, and you get references, you talk to the people of this place. And because a kid has a lot of stress. I mean, we underestimate, just going to school, trying to get into college, whatever phase they're in, I call them tweens, teens, and in-betweens. They face a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety right now.
Mm-hmm.
And and being in tune to what are their creative outlets. And even though they might say no to something initially, you might open them up to something really exciting. I mean, I got my daughter into ukulele lessons, and
Nice.
she loves ukulele. And at first, she wasn't so interested. And I said, just try it. I always say, just try it once, and they might meet people, and they might decide to try something else. And just being open to have some variety in your life and your kid's life is a positive thing.
It does sound amazing, too. And most importantly, the power of pets, which I looked up as well, too. That's part of your book as well, too. And talk about the power of pets and why it's so important.
Okay, so I have to admit, I was not a dog person. I was not. We had a Great Dane. We had a couple other dogs. I used to try to ride the Great Dane like a horse. I was 4 years old, the poor dog. And I just didn't feel this connection with dogs. And then we went through a personal thing in my household. My daughter was going through a rough patch, and she said, I've always wanted a dog. And I kept saying, no, it's so much work. We don't have time, and blah, blah, blah. A lot of stuff a lot of parents would say. But, for her well-being, I caved, and it was the best thing we did. I mean, we raised this dog. She's now a year old, and we got her as a puppy, and she has been the cutest addition to our house. I mean, yes, our baseboards have chunks of them missing. The floor is eaten up, and it is what it is. But she just adds such levity and is so sweet. And dogs, I've learned so much. They're just so unconditionally loving. I come down in the morning at 6 a.m. and I look like, I just drag myself through whatever, a rainstorm. And, a dog doesn't care what you look like. They just love you.
Mm-hmm. And it's amazing, too. And what kind of breed is this dog?
A golden doodle.
A golden doodle. Nice.
Yeah. So they are known to have an amazing temperament. And our dog is so playful and so mischievous in a sweet way. I joke like, oh, if you're missing your car keys, maybe she ate them, because she's eaten socks. I mean, she'll eat a small tennis sock in under 20 seconds flat if you're not careful, which is really dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
So it's worse than a toddler.
or maybe the dog's trying to tell you, I'm hungry, feed me some dog food.
I know. I mean, it's just, you have to really be on your, be aware. But I have to say, I'm the kind of person that the busier I am, the more productive I am, and the better I do at things. And while I was writing my book, we actually got the puppy. And I'd be up at 2 a.m. with my daughter, and he's barking and pooping in the house. And I'm like, oh. And I just managed to just rally and make it part of my day. That was it.
That is amazing, too. And we've got a few minutes left here with Janeane Bernstein, the author of Get the Funk Out. And maybe you can just hit upon a chapter or two in the book as well, and just describe a little about getting the funk out, and what else can a person do as well.
Okay, so the book is called, actually, Get the Funk Out, Bleep Happens. I won't swear on your show.
Uh-huh.
Bleep Happens, What to Do Next.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 24 guests ranging from musicians. I have Gary Peel from the band Boston, June Millington, Bree Howard Darling. They're both originally from the band Annie, which was a very popular all-female, one of the first female bands, actually. And so there's 24 guests sharing all these different stories of ups and downs or advice for how to stay sane in a not-so-sane world at times, and how to take care of yourself. And then I interject some of my own stories of things I've been through. And I also have a lot of different things, like even some worksheets with, how to, we're not expected to be happy 24/7. That's not normal.
Right, that's a given. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not some weird movie, but just how to take care of yourself. And then suggestions from, these are great classes, or why don't you try this? And just different things to tap into who you are and things that might inspire you, because there's so much in this world to experience. By the way, you asked me earlier, where can people hear my show? It's Mondays at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. And we stream, we're live 24/7. We're stream on www.kuci.org. And I also have a show blog, if I can add that. It's getthefunkoutshow.kuci.org, and all of my shows are on there as podcast.
That is amazing, too. And who'd you say was the most interesting guest you had on the book as well, too?
There was a woman. She went on to become a lawyer, and she was adopted by a foster family. And I think the mom, I'm pretty sure, abused her. And she just did not feel loved. And she went on to become so successful. And she had an interracial marriage, extremely successful interracial marriage. And she has, I think, 2 daughters. I mean, she just rose above struggle after struggle after struggle, abuse, having to deal with, bigotry, racism. And she's a lovely lady. She's a judge. And I just love chatting with her.
That is amazing. That's so amazing. And I'm ready to get out get the funk out and get this book as well, too. And just a few more things before we wrap up. We know you're very busy. Who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Well, let's see. As far as radio, when I was little, I didn't grow up with my dad. I moved in with him when I was 16. And we flew across the country one time. And he was kind of a tough guy, New Yorker. But I discovered he had a very funny side to him. And he used to do character voices. And we did this on the plane, like a 5-hour flight. And my dad made me laugh. So I believe my dad, first of all, his sense of humor has stuck with me. It's a quick wit. It's like taking improv classes. To be able to have a conversation with somebody and think very clearly and very calmly and be open to wherever, when you talk to people, just be open to whatever comes around in a conversation. So my dad has played a huge role. And when he passed away, I got really deeply involved back into my writing, which I always loved. And it's just, some people just change you for the best, and that was my dad.
That sounds amazing, too, and I could very well relate to that, and a lot of people who are listening as well, too. And what's the best advice you can give at this point?
Take care of yourself. We ignore our self-care. And like I said earlier, if you are really struggling, personally, professionally, whatever, and you feel like you have no one to talk to, or you feel like some of the people in your life are toxic, go talk to a professional. That's what they're there for. And just take care of yourself. Think about what it is you're eating, how much you're sleeping, because there's all these factors, Mike, that affect us. The chemicals in our food, artificial whatever. I mean, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of quick ways to fix up your diet that'll make you feel great. You won't feel tired. I mean, I discovered this on my own because I was a junk food junkie. But just tuning into all the factors that affect you throughout the day and then making time, making you your number one priority.
That is amazing. I think that's a very good idea. And Janeane, just wanted to say thank you very much for your time. You've been a fantastic host and look forward to having you on again soon. And keep us up to date. And once again, the book is called Get the Funk Out. Leap Happens, published by Post Hill Press, distributed by Simon & Schuster. And you're also on KUCI.org, which is 88.9 FM. And you can hear every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, which would be 10 o'clock Mountain, 11 o'clock Central, and noon on Eastern Time. And just want to say a big thank you for being on the program. Look forward to having you on again soon. And please do me a favor, Janeane, keep us up to date. Look forward to having you on again soon.
I will. Thanks so much. This has been great.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Listen online at themikewagnershow.com and on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And watch the interview on YouTube. Also, become a sponsor of the program and or donate today at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of The Mike Wagner Show.